Today I want to tell you what it is like when you have a child who is going in for an autism evaluation, specifically the ADOS. ADOS stands for Autism Diagnosis Observation Schedule. It is the evaluation that each of our kids have gone through who have been suspected of being on the autism spectrum. I know there's different levels based on the age and developmental ability of the person who's being tested. One time I was there for a test for a more verbal child, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. Today I want to talk about what it's usually like when you go to an ADOS evaluation with a toddler or a preschooler, basically with a younger child who is less verbal. And generally my experience has been pretty identical. Let's see. 4 of my 5 kids have been given ADOS, and 2 of them have a diagnosis of autism. Maggie was diagnosed when she was 3 and she is now 9, and Tessie was diagnosed at 18 months and she is now 3. The girls, for insurance purposes, have yearly retests, and then Tessie was in some different studies when she was younger that actually helped us get services, but that also meant she went through some testing every 6 months, which is one of the reasons that I have been to so many tests. Usually when the test starts, in our case it's usually been done by a psychologist, the psychologist always tells me that they're going to be doing the test and that I should attempt to limit my interaction with the child as much as possible, but that if the child comes up to me to interact with them normally, as I normally would, respond as you normally would, and that they'll also ask me over the course of the test a few times to interact with the child to see what that interaction is like. And what that usually consists of is at some point they're going to ask you to say their name, which usually is like me saying Tessie, 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 and she like doesn't look, or Maggie, 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 and now Maggie looks, but when Maggie was littler she didn't look either. There's also a point where they'll ask if you can get the child to smile without actually like tickling them or coming into physical contact with them, and with Maggie that's a yes, and with Tessie that is a no. Those are just 2 examples of the times when they'll ask you to basically help with the exam to see what the child's response is to you. But they're also observing things like how much the child checks in with you and whether or not they're showing you toys. When you come into the room for the ADOS, there are usually a bunch of toys spread out on the floor for the child to play with. There's usually a small child-sized table with 2 little chairs also, which is where there's going to be a snack. If your child can't have gluten or dairy, a lot of times they'll have you bring your own snacks that your child can have. A lot of the test is going to be about how your child plays. There's a frog where they take the little frog and hop it across and say ribbit, 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 and see if your child will mimic that. See if your child will engage in imaginative play by pretending that a block is a cup or a phone. Tessie's favorite part of the ADOS is always the bubble machine, and there's a little rocket that it's like a little foam rocket that shoots out, and those are Tessie's 2 favorites. She really, really hates the balloon. There's like a blowing up a balloon and letting it go, which Maggie always loved, but which Tessie is terrified of. A lot of those are trying to get the child to sort of ask for help or engage with the examiner, and just seeing how they do engage with the examiner, seeing how they make eye contact. And for us, for those parts, Tessie would always be like, Tessie and Maggie both would be like, no, I can figure out the bubble machine, or no, I can figure out the rocket, and I can do this myself. And then there's usually a little bunny or dog that's like a little electronic one that you can hold down on a controller, and it makes sounds and hops or walks. And both of our girls always just completely ignored that and didn't look at it at all, didn't really want anything to do with it. It's under a blanket, and when they pull the blanket off of it, our girls always just ignored that completely. There's the birthday party or bubble bath. When Tessie was littler, it was a bubble bath, and they're giving a baby doll a bubble bath and helping wash the baby doll. That was like when she was really, really little. And now that she's 3, it is a birthday party, which is what Maggie still has too, which is where they have a birthday party for baby. There's a Play-Doh cake, and they put candles in it and pretend to blow out the candles, pretend to sing baby happy birthday, pretend to cut a piece of cake for it. And Maggie will kind of play along now that she's older because she knows that she's supposed to, and Tessie will generally like try to abscond with a doll and twirl around with it, or like steal the candles or something like that. After that's the snack, and for the snack there's the two choices of snack, and they'll give the child a little bit and see if they will ask for more, if they'll indicate a preference, if they'll ask for more juice. And usually with our girls it was, especially when they're littler, like Tessie is now, or when Maggie was littler, it would be like Maggie trying to basically climb over to wherever it was and like open up the crackers and get them herself, because she wouldn't ever ask for help. And that is what our ADOS experience has been like so far. We've always been given the results basically right away, except for the first time. With Maggie we weren't given the results till the next day the first time, but with all of the other times we were given the results right then and there. Like they took them away and scored them, and they come back and tell us that they still have autism, they still qualify, which obviously I'm not really worried about it. For anyone who is wondering, if you're curious, if you're nervous, it's really pretty straightforward. As a parent, all you really have to do is sit there and just help out with a couple parts where you try to interact with your child, and your child will either interact back with you or completely ignore you, like Tessie tends to do with me. And that is what the ADOS is like. Now, usually with autism testing there is also another section where you'll also be asked a lot of questions about behavior and all sorts of things like that. But that is what the actual ADOS test is like. That is it for today. If you like this video, we'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.